Go. Enrique in Florida. Enrique in Florida, you're on the line with Jimmy Snow. How are you, Enrique? Good. All right, so you are calling to say what?
Okay, so I just saw the episode title, and it was "Why would anyone vote Trump?" And it goes back to immigration.
Uh-huh.
Like, here's one thing that I don't think has been mentioned almost at all about the immigration during the Trump era. That there was the entire separating children from parents and even, like, children in cages, but no one ever mentioned that. Why would these people be bringing children over? Not over the border, but the land before the border. It's just like these dangerous terrain.
Enrique,
Bringing their children
Enrique,
with them.
what do
That's
you think the
horrible.
answer to that question is? If somebody had to tell you why they did it, what do you think they're going to tell you?
They had no choice, but
That they were
did
fleeing a
have a choice.
situation that was so bad that the risk to them was better. Children are rather resilient. Of the people who die, usually it's only because of things Greg Abbott does to them that causes them to die. And they tend to make it here. And you are talking about a group of people. If anything, I would say, Enrique, that this is against your point, because we should be asking, why are people bringing the children? Then go, oh, that's why? That's terrifying and horrific. Maybe a stay in Mexico policy or a you can't come in policy or shutting down refugees, shutting down asylum seekers would actually be horribly cruel, in fact. But go on.
But the United States it's not a charity organization.
It kind of is, actually. It's not a charity, but it is an immigration melting pot with the promise that we want everybody.
Yes, but you say it can be so horrible. And here's the thing about the children that come. I mean, what about the ones that might be part of sex trafficking? What about the ones that are just assigned a parent?
Right. What about them? What about those ones? I know the answer to that. We should go out of our way to make sure that we are reducing the harm that can come from people. Enrique, imagine if I just flip your thing. Hey, there's going to be a lot of kids who are being abused in their societies, in their community, and their parents will be in danger. And they're going to come across the border, and we're going to say no because somebody else might be sexually abused in the system. And by the way, when you actually look into these things that people like Trump like to claim that you are now repeating, Enrique, it turns out to be the case that that's not very much what's happening at the border. Sex trafficked individuals tend to come by actually legal means. Same things with drugs. They think shutting down the border is going to stop when they've already figured this shit out. They've got tunnels for the hard smuggling they have to do, but most of the shit's coming by airplane legally.
Yes, but but the fact that they are these parents, that they would subject children to that. I mean, you say
We've
it's all like,
already described why that happens. We already went over this. The reason why their parents are doing it is because to stay where they were would be worse.
yes, but to subject them to something that cruel, I mean, that just feels like it's so animalistic. And
Again, that is worse. It is worse to stay. So you would be subjecting to them something more. The term you're trying to use is animalistic, because heartless, sociopathic individuals, not you as an individual actually being a sociopath, participating in this collective sociopathy that is being a member of the GOP, where you are told, in the name of love and for our people, here's how to not think of those people as humans. And now you're doing what is actually a baseline thing bigots always do, called dehumanizing in a very literal way, where you're now taking their humanity away and describing their actions as animalistic to try and poison the well and paint this picture of these people that as though they aren't actually a celebration of the greatest parts of humanity, that a parent would selflessly put themselves through hell for a chance to give their child a better life, but you sit there and go, but the trek, those caravans, what a horrible thing to subject them to. It's still worse than staying where they are. These are not people who don't love their children very much. It is that love and that humanity of theirs that is why they are doing it.
Hey, listen, I come from Colombia, and I've seen poverty there.
How did you get here from Colombia?
That's why it's less imaginable.
How did you get here from Colombia?
Excuse me?
How did you get here from Colombia?
They actually legally from that. My parents actually came here, and they were citizens, and I became a citizen too.
Great. So your parents had tremendous privilege in Colombia. Have other people had less privilege in Colombia and wanted to come to America?
Well, of course. I see them lining up outside of the embassy in the capital city of Bogota.
And should we reject them?
If they don't get through the proper paperwork, yeah.
So if they are legitimate asylum seekers, but if they fumble the paperwork, we should reject them and what? Send them back to Colombia where they may be in danger?
Are you talking about asylum seekers?
Whichever group you want. We don't have an open borders policy. It's bullshit that people pretend like we do. So right now, if you want to come here, talking over me never works. If you want to come here, you either have to do it, you have to do it legally through certain routes. And there are people who, when faced with bureaucratic shit that's going to get in their way, or they aren't able to maneuver because they aren't familiar with American bureaucracy, or whatever the reason is, that they just take the means that gets them to safety the fastest. And then when they're here, they live in absolute fear, which is why they commit less crimes as a community. Illegal immigrants commit less crimes than legal citizens do. And they actually contribute to our economy in a way that contributes to Medicare and Social Security, and they don't take anything back out from it. They're not getting welfare, they're not getting SNAP, they're not getting shit, but they are contributing both to our economy and our taxes.
Wait, but what do you mean? They get free medical care?
No, they do not. If a person shows up to the emergency room, a person who shows up to the emergency room may get medical care because we say you are not allowed to not. But America doesn't have free medical care. And by the way, why don't you talk to the many illegal immigrants who don't go to the emergency room and either lose a limb, end up dying, something terrible happens because they were too afraid to go there for fear that they would be found out. This is my problem with you guys, Enrique. You get together and just decide, you know who fucking sucks? These other people we don't like. How dare they get free medical care? Everyone should get free medical care. We have the resources to do it, extend it as a human right. And once again, because of their fear, they don't get to take advantage of it. This thing that you think is happening so much.
Yes, but I mean, these people are going to be the less educated ones.
And are they incapable of being educated? Are they incapable of being trained? How come so much of our labor force is an immigrant labor force if the fact that they are quote unquote less educated is such a problem?
Well, I know that they're less educated, but they're the ones taking
so what?
So many jobs.
What jobs? What jobs are illegal citizens taking from Americans that Americans actually want to do? This is another one of those made up things.
Manufacturing and kitchen and construction.
Nope.
I mean,
legal immigrants. In fact, I just saw a Republican melting down on Facebook because he went to Home Depot to hire some unskilled labor, and it ended up going and approaching the guys, and they wanted like $30 to $40 an hour because they're actually licensed contractors. There's not illegal immigrants taking those jobs. There are legal immigrants and people on work visas. You are full of shit. And even the people who slip through the cracks and are working again on on a social security number of somebody else, They are working illegally. Again, they're actually contributing into our systems without taking benefits out. They are a net positive to those systems. It's wild. Americans don't want to pick strawberries. Immigrants are willing to do it.
Well, I'm not only talking about strawberries. I'm talking about, say, like construction, like carpentry, like roofing.
Yeah.
I've met roofers who had to compete against illegal immigrants.
No, you haven't. You've met roofers who have said they have to because people bastardize these people. It's a bullshit narrative. It happens very, very little. And it's, again, a net benefit to our economy to have these people. But look, Enrique, I agree with you that the system as it is right now doesn't work. We need open border policy, Ellis Island policy. You get here, you get vetted. Hey, I don't even mind, since you're so worried about the kids, we'll do a little quick swab, make sure that the kids are actually related to each other, or if they're not, have them prove in some way that they have some connection to these people. Let them know something. If you're so worried about them, we can do shit like that. You have a vetting process. You make sure that they're not felons. And then we just go, welcome to America. It's yours too. Because immigration is amazing for America. It's what actually is one of the few things that makes America actually awesome. And it's why the Republicans are trying to take it away. Because conservatism doesn't much mean conservatism of what is good about America. It's more conservatism about what any individual penis really wants to do on any given day.
Well, but conservatives are also about not wasting tax money.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. Enrique, Donald Trump exploded the deficit. He spent more than Biden did. He spent more than Obama did.
COVID.
No, before COVID, he also gave a tax break to the rich people that exploded the deficit. And then he also, you people who want to say he's great on the economy, ignoring how he exploded the deficit and also increased the cost of goods by adding tariffs, which, by the way, China doesn't pay, we pay. We pay tariffs, which means the prices on the goods go up also, and the supply goes down. Literally causes inflation. We pay tariffs. They don't pay the tariffs. If you buy stuff from China, some construction goods, you buy $1,000 worth of construction goods from China, you will pay the extra $250. And if your whole total budget was $1,000, you're essentially going to pay, it actually won't break to $750, $250 because that's not how that works. But it'd be like $800, $200 because obviously 25% of 800 is 200 and that adds up to 1,000. It wouldn't be, I assume everybody's following.
But wait, there's one thing that doesn't make sense about that.
Mm-hmm.
If Americans are paying,
right?
If it's passed out to the American consumer, then why did China? Why did they put tariffs in retaliation?
Because it causes us. Because once again, second day in a row, these people say things with such confidence when they don't understand the foundations of the things they're saying they believe. They did it in retaliation because if a person has $1,000 budget, you're now only buying $800 worth of inventory. And by upsetting the chain, you upset it in all types of fucking places. And so by doing it in return, it now becomes the same. We are now selling less of our goods and they're buying less because they now have to account for the tariffs. And this literally causes inflation.
No, that's gonna.
Yes, Enrique, you don't have to listen to me. Listen to any economist. There's not going to be an economist who disagrees with this. This is how it works. If you add a tax, especially, and by the way, now he's saying, and the new tariffs, they're going to be 50%, 100%. Some of them are going to be 200% tariffs. He's going to put 200% tariffs. And again, look it up, Enrique. If you don't believe me, look up. If there is a 25% tariff in America, who pays it? Does China pay it or does the American pay it? They covered it for a while by trying to do subsidies, and then those fucking things ran up too. The guy is so full of shit. His eyes are turning brown from the inside, and yet you guys are just like, shit, more in my mouth, daddy. Give it to me. Num, 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 num.
I'm learning something here. So
good.
Explain. So are you saying that those tariffs in the trade war, could that have caused the inflation in 2021 and 2022?
It definitely contributed to it. If you look at inflation across the board, America's inflation is better than anywhere else. but inflation still happened as a result of the war. And the amount that it had to be combated by the Biden administration. But again, proof that the Biden administration was doing something right, that we are doing better than any of the rest of the Western world, including other right-wing countries. We're doing better than the rest of the developed world. When you take a look at that,
prices are still up.
Yes,
so.
no shit. Inflation is down to 3%. Actually, Enrique, let me ask you. If I told you that if Donald Trump wins, inflation will go to negative 5%, and prices will, as a result of that, return to what they were, would you say that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel that's a trick question. But
go ahead and answer it.
Yes.
That'd be a good thing. Do you know what it means if you get into negative percent inflation? If you go into deflation, do you know what that's called?
Didn't you just say deflation?
It's called a recession. Negative inflation causes recession. That will mean that people are losing their jobs, unemployment will skyrocket. And listen, you know what, Enrique? We finally agree on something. I also think Donald Trump might cause a recession. Just like you. I think so too. That's literally what a recession is, my friend. And you are sitting here going like, I hate inflation too. Now, the fact of the matter is, most of the things that you are seeing as far as grocery prices and shit, that's actually not as much a matter of inflation as it is corporate greed. That is a matter of, since COVID, prices going up and them going, why do we have to return it down? They're willing to pay $20 to get their old Chipotle order delivered to them, where we'll also make the burrito half the size. I see you, Chipotle, you fucking assholes. Anyway, we'll just keep everything up, because what are they going to do? Not buy the eggs, not buy? Corporate greed is, as far as grocery prices go, overall inflation. You do not actually want to go into a negative. You do not want deflation. And yet, for some reason, nobody on the right understands that if we actually went into deflation, that would be at the cost of many people, because we do not protect the working class when recessions happen. We continue to protect the rich people. We bail out the rich people. So even though we could take those same dollars and save 100,000 jobs, we won't. We'll save 2 or 3 billionaires instead of those 100,000 jobs, because we live in a fucking dirtbag capitalist economy.
But let's go back to like the borders. I mean,
okay, I agree. You've lost on that, so let's see if you can try round 2 on immigration. Go ahead, back to the border.
So, yes, and the part where I was interrupting, I see on television and on the websites of the news of these thousands and thousands of people coming in, and that's just gonna stress all our finances and take precious tax money away from American citizens.
No.
And
immigrants,
but doesn't that concern you, those thousands when they're pouring in?
Correct. It does not concern me. We could take millions, because we will build more companies. Immigrants come and also start companies. They are the cornerstone of many communities, and I belong to a political party that cares about the working class, that cares about labor. You belong to the political party who cosplays caring about blue-collar workers and people who actually built this country and society, and then fucks them over time and time again and gives their money back to billionaires. Because keep in mind, every time somebody already rich gets a multi-million to billion-dollar incentive, that's going to them, increasing their security, even though they've already passed a lifetime's worth of security at the expense of everybody else. The moment you're going to sit here and go, don't you worry about the money we're going to give to poor people that might not deserve it, I'm not going to even begin to hear it until we talk about the money we're giving to rich people who definitely don't deserve it.
And you're saying all this, but it seems so many people are excited about the possible deportation of millions.
Yes, because they're horrible, racist people.
Don't you think that's a bit overplayed?
Nope.
I mean, here I am, a Latino who's been called racist myself.
Yep.
But they don't know. But how is it? I mean, so many people are just tired of being called racist.
Here's the beautiful thing, Enrique. It's 2024. Latinos can be anything they want, including racist, just like you, buddy.
Oh.
Yes, you are participating in a system of white supremacy, whether or not you are yourself white and can benefit from it, just like motherfucking that governor from North Carolina, the lieutenant governor, Ron whatever, the chaser lieutenant governor, who talks about being a black Nazi and wanting to restore slavery so he can buy some people, not understanding that that's not how it would work if we restored slavery. Just like Candace Owens is capable of contributing to a system of white supremacy, you are supporting a system of racism and white supremacy.
But I've built a good life here.
Yes.
So many of my
And
both
you're-
Latinos and Americans are Republicans.
Yep. And I hope that they continue to improve on that political. I hope that people start to actually see the benefit of having an actual left. Because right now you're asking a lot of people to come to this country and go, okay, who are you going to choose, the Republicans or the Democrats? Now, here's the cool thing. They're barely different except on some social issues. And so that's going to be a lot of the lines, especially because so many people are coming over from countries that either they are. So, for example, we know that a lot of the Cuban population in Florida don't like the Democrats because they are associated with quote unquote socialism, and they associate Cuban government with socialism, and that it's easier to sort of sell them on what happened to Cuba will happen here, even though it's not the case. If we had an actual left to present to people, an actual left that values labor, that values the working people, I don't think I think it's amazing it's been taken this long and it's been this hard to present that to people, because once people have it, they're never going to want to go back. And you see that in other countries that are still capitalist but have much more social safety nets, much more programs, where even the Republicans will go, what if we take that money that we could have had over here and instead give it to our national healthcare system? Even the right-wing people in those ones. But we don't have a real left to present them. So right now, a lot of Latinos are Republican because they don't mind the fact that very clearly the rest of the Republicans are racist, and because many of them are socially conservative.
But besides the social conservatism, leftist parties in Latin America have destroyed the countries.
I already just addressed that.
You already know about Cuba and Argentina.
Joy, boy, and how is it again that all happened? Was it America's interference and their absolute insistence to annihilate anything that even approached leftism and to make sure to conquer anything that threatened their status as pretending to be the greatest country in the world? I love when people bring these things up and they're just like, oh, leftism, just something called socialism. I feel like, Enrique, if we keep going, by the time this call's over, you're also going to go, well, and don't forget, Hitler was a national socialist. So that's socialism too. Not understanding the difference between any of these things, not understanding that authoritarian socialism doesn't make any fucking sense in the first place, because authoritarianism is defiant of socialism, and that America is responsible for destabilizing many of these countries, and that many of them had some pretty great fucking things going on before we got our dirty little mitts in there. Anyway, last thoughts, Enrique. It's been 25 minutes. I can only take having to debunk every word that comes out of a person's mouth so long.
I can't believe how good you are at debunking everything, and
Thanks, buddy.
Feel like so much of what I know is there's a lot of misinformation in what I've been told.
Yeah.
Because everything I've told to you I'm realizing is assumptions.
I deeply hope that, Enrique, it is impressed upon you that what matters most are the foundations of our beliefs. And I'm not a person who was raised as a leftist. I'm not a person who went, I'm an atheist leftist and no one's ever going to change me, and all the information I am ever going to intake is that which comports with that. I'm only going to confirm that bias. I'm a person who grew up in a very religious home, was very religious myself, and was very conservative. In fact, when I left religion first and then went from politically conservative to more libertarian. I finally went to a sort of liberalism, thought that capitalism was still going to be overall the best of the terrible situations, but still bad, but the best of it, and then eventually radicalized into actual socialism. And that is a result of going at every step of the way Does what I believe have sufficient evidence to warrant that belief? And every time I challenged it, I ended up in a better place. And now I'm actually stuck in a place that I'm not budging from as much because there isn't a much place to go. Like, I'm not budging off of atheism and I'm not budging off of leftism because both of them comport with reality. But as soon as somebody can give me better evidence, they'll budge. They might move completely. All you have to do is match the pattern of my life so far. Give me better evidence and I will change my opinion. And I've proven my whole life that that is what I am willing to do and can do, despite the people who call it and just go, you just can't be wrong. Bitch, I've been wrong for breakfast. The fuck you talking about?
Honestly, the fact that you can talk is actually great, because a problem with what I see with leftists is that they explode with anger.
Oh, I do that sometimes.
No, you got passionate. But some get screeching, and, you know, a little thing that I admit, I have, you know, illegal or undocumented or illegal, whatever you want to call them. I have them clean my house, and one is my handyman, and I love them very much. So
do your research.
That.
Think about their love. Think about how much you love them. Actually look in. Every time you think you know, take it a step further. Every time you're like, this is it. This is the information. Look up the debunk of that information. Go deeper and deeper. Truth has never been afraid of more information. Not once. All right, Enrique?
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
God, that warms my cockles. I feel like I finally got through to somebody. It's just, oh my God, it's tough. It's tough to, you do this so often. And look, I've mentioned many times, many of the times we're doing these shows as a method of helping the people who are already in a state of movement. And so a lot of the conversations are for the audience more than they are for myself and the person I'm having it with. And yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Oh man, these are going to be some fun calls. Y'all have no idea. Though some of you will now be able to detect my sarcasm. Hey, if you liked this video, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't
That's
like
what
it,
you would say.
subscribe.
Okay.
You didn't even give me a chance.
There was such a long pause.
What are you on speed or
All right,
something? I barely had a
Let's
chance.
try again. Hey, I hope you liked. Hey, I hope you. Fuck. Hey there. I hope you liked that clip. Hey, I hope you liked that clipper just now, the one that you just watched with your eyes. If you did like it, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it, tell Jimmy to go fuck himself.
Hey, I hope you liked that clip right now. If you did like it, why don't you hit that like button?
And if you didn't like it, go ahead and subscribe anyway.